this is a woman who happens to work in a hospital, and her chief complaint was, I need to stay well hydrated. However, I struggle because my bladder is constantly full and I have to keep urinating throughout the day, and it's not, it's impeding my line of work. How do I stay hydrated essentially without the need to constantly urinate? So for starters, women do tend to urinate more frequently than men for the most part. They cannot hold their bladder the way men can. But you also have to remember that hydration does not necessarily mean fluid intake. It means fluid retention. Because we know from patients with diabetes insipidus that they're chronically dehydrated no matter how much fluid you give them, because this is an issue of the pituitary not secreting antidiuretic hormone. They're constantly diuresing and excreting fluids via urine. So dehydration or hydration is not the same as just diuresing, because you can diurese quite frequently and remain dehydrated regardless of your fluid intake. We have to understand where fluid goes in the body, and there's essentially only three places primarily that your fluid can reside. Ideally, we want your fluids to reside either in the vascular space, which is in the blood vessels, or in your cells, and that's where the fluid belongs. That's where it actually performs most of your life functioning actions. When your fluid enters what we call interstitial tissue or third space, this is where it is essentially what we refer to as edema or pitting edema if it becomes excessive. This is where it is not in the vascular space or in the cells. It is in that in between, subcutaneous potentially, or any of your body cavities. And this is not a finding that you want to see in a healthy person. That's usually indicative of some sort of potentially heart disease or pulmonary issue, or some level of hypertension or issues, with your endocrine system that can cause this. Fluid and electrolyte balance is something that you have to pay attention to here. You can hydrate yourself and actually not excrete as much fluid via urine so long as you maintain a proper electrolyte balance. So if you're just drinking continually, you're going to be diluting your serum electrolytes. That means that the amount of solutes in your blood, your sodium, your potassium, magnesium, your zinc, your calcium, all of these minerals are going to be essentially diluted. There's going to be less mineral per milliliter of fluid. And when your body recognizes this, there's something called osmolarity, which is the balance of material or solute and the balance of the actual liquid in your blood. So think of the liquid as a solvent and the minerals as a solute, and together they make a solution. That solution has to have a balance of osmolarity. And in the human blood, it likes to stay like that 290, 300 range of osmolarity, osmoles per milliliter. If you tend to go way under that by overhydrating, and your osmolarity level is greatly decreased, this is what we call a hypotonic situation. The way your body prevents your cells from exploding with fluid is by pushing that fluid out of the blood vessels and into your kidneys and into your bladder and saying, get this out of my system, you're giving me too much fluid. On the flip side, if you introduce fluid that is isotonic, which means it has the same osmolarity or similar osmolarity to your blood, then your body likes this type of a fluid. And this is why we always say use electrolytes in your drinks as opposed to just, pure water, because the osmolarity is isotonic and it is going to allow your body to absorb and keep and hold onto more fluids. Again, we don't want it in the third space, and we want it in the cells and in the vascular space. So if you're going to use more electrolytes with your fluid, where the isotonic effect is neutral or similar to what is in your body's going to want to hold on to that fluid, and that's when you get the full hydrating effect, intracellular and intravascular. So just be cautious on what you're drinking. Make sure that you're not completely depleting your sodium, your potassium, magnesium, all these other important electrolytes, because that's when your body says, get rid of this. We're basically we're going to balloon ourselves.
Mm-hmm. The lady that asked the question also said, I tried adding salt to my water, but that didn't help.
Okay, well, just adding salt to your water is not the answer. Again, you can even use Pedialyte. You can put some Pedialyte, and you don't have to look. People think in their mind, if you're just basically going about your day working and you're not sweating a lot and you're not really doing anything excessive, you're not depleting your electrolytes dramatically or have a reason, to have concern for dehydration, you don't need to drink gallons and gallons of water. When we speak about hydrating sufficiently, and we're talking about the fitness industry here. We're talking about people in the gym losing sodium, losing potassium, losing calcium from muscle contractions and whatnot. We're talking about rehydration, on a cellular level that requires a heck of a lot more than what somebody running around, their job during the day requires. You don't have to go out there and drink, 9 bottles of water. Have maybe something equivalent to like a Gatorade or a Pedialyte water drink, bottle once a day, and then another 2-3 bottles of water, and you're fine. Remember, you also do get fluids from your food. So if you're eating real normal food, not bags of potato chips, but actual food, there's water in your food as well. So you're not going to be dehydrated if you don't overconsume water. That's, there's a fine balance there. So don't take to heart too much the whole, I need a gallon plus a day, et cetera. You could do just fine, on 60 ounces a day of fluid, as long as you're not overly exerting yourself or causing a dehydration risk.